All right, guys, we're back. Apologize we had some Wi-Fi issues, so once we get some more people back on, we'll restart the show.
I think that was too many men on the field. Well, I looked up, I said, well, over there, I can see. They go from his chest right there, that means too many men on the field.
All right, we got 10 or so on right now, so we'll go ahead and get started. We apologize. The first Facebook had some Wi-Fi issues, so we are restarting here. Again, welcome to Facebook Live, again sponsored by CW's. If you get a chance, we thank CW's for their sponsorship. If you get a chance to go over there, get some apparel. I know they have the conference championship shirts either available now or will be available shortly, but always have great Monroe City apparel and basically anything that you need, and I know they can make some, put something on a shirt if you wanted to. So thank them for that. And we'll start this week with a little bit of just touching base on our game last week. Monroe City last week does what you're supposed to do in a 1-8 game. They come and take care of business, stay healthy. The varsity doesn't even finish the first quarter. Offensively, 4 drives, a 5-play drive, and then 3 1-play touchdown drives, scoring on all. Defense, they allowed negative yards of offense with the varsity, and then the JV backups come in, do what they need to do. We win 52-0. I think the biggest positive for the game was seeing Nolan Pennywell out there, and he looked good. He was our player of the game. He had 10 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Good defense like normal. And, as we move forward, you have a guy that was an all-conference level performer until he got hurt. And, we went on a winning streak since that Macon game, but getting him there as another force on that defense is certainly going to help.
Yeah, and the other guys have stepped in his absence, but, it was good. It's a game where you may not play him to let him rest that ankle a little bit more, but at the same time, it's good to get him some game. There's nothing like practice can't get you in shape for a game. So he gets in game shape, test that ankle. Now he's got confidence, and we're going to have him when we need him, which is this week and beyond, and we hope we're playing for a few more weeks. So great to see him back. Did, like you said, what they're supposed to do. It's great to be back with you guys this week after being in Tulsa last week, and looking forward to tonight's contest. The Bowling Green Bobcats are here. They're warming up right now. White on white uniforms, black helmets. Interesting development right now, Michael. Kaleo Dade, their stud linebacker running back, just went in the locker room as his team warms up. So
we don't have any idea whether it's equipment issue or what, but right as they started doing their stretching, he walked out. But, we're going to include him, and it's part of, we'll have a little preview. We're going to act like he's playing. Obviously, if he doesn't play, things change pretty immensely for Bowling Green. Dade is a talented running back linebacker. He was a unanimous first-team EMO running back. He was a first-team linebacker in the EMO. He's about 220 pounds. He reminds me a little bit, for Monroe City fans, of Logan Menor, the former Monroe City player. Big kid, runs hard, very good linebacker. The other key to their offense is their quarterback, Austin Callahan, the junior. He is a dual threat guy. He's ran for 190-plus yards against Clopton-Ellsbury last week, around 800 or 900 for the year, 1,000-yard passers, got 20 touchdowns total. And he's a guy that, I've mentioned on previous things, the thing that has been the biggest worry for Monroe City defensively has been that quarterback run, getting outside contain, or getting outside when there's no outside contain. And he's a guy that can hurt you if he gets into that role.
Yeah, so, that has been kind of the defense's Achilles heel, if anything. And we're nitpicking a little bit because our defense has played very well. But if you look back to what has caused the biggest fits for our defense is that athletic quarterback, as you mentioned. The Helias quarterback in the second half. Clark County's quarterback,
Brock Wood.
You got Brock Wood, who played the Wildcat quarterback, and then you go back to Nash Waller there in the Macon game. the quarterbacks that can make something happen. And I said the way that Bowling Green is going to score tonight is either him running around and getting that outside contain, or we get actually such a great pass rush, but he's athletic enough to get around it, and then there's nobody around. And then our defensive backs are in the, do we come tackle? Do we start our guy? They come up to try to make a tackle. He makes the throw right before the line of scrimmage, long touchdown pass. So I don't look for Dade to just feed them the ball and have success. Really, no running back this year has had that type of success.
Dade is on the field. He's getting a little bit of running. I wonder if maybe he got an ankle or something. He is on the far sideline getting a little jogging. I don't know if he went in and got taped or what, but
he does not look very limber right now, to be honest with you.
He doesn't look anywhere near 100%, but he is trying to get some running in, so we'll see.
Let's hope he's okay. I mean, we want to play everybody from here on out at full strength, and we want to take care of business. You know, the CCC versus the EMO here at play, and you know we've got Macon over there against Lathrop, and you know we want the CCC to show out well. South Shelby versus Scotland County. You know we got some interesting games where, and of course there's a big one within the CCC tonight, Clark County and Palmyra. But you know we want all of our Clarence County Conference teams to show out tonight against other conferences, and you know, we'll get that opportunity tonight.
Right. So, and just quickly on Monroe City, when we're on the offensive side of the ball, Monroe City should be able to control the line of scrimmage. I think a key for Monroe City is, you know, controlling that line. If Dade ends up being 100%, you know, one of the things is going to be getting to that second level, getting that block at the second level, getting him out, and then that's going to allow Monroe City to break some big plays.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll talk more Bowling Green Monroe in pregame on the radio. 107.5 The Lake.
All right, so we'll just quickly go through the mayor of Huntington. Brad Williams has this is his final rankings of the year. As we move forward, he may have some thoughts on the six. You know, we're in the round of 32 now, so this will be the last top 10. Maybe do a little bit something different next week, but his top 10: number 1, Luther North at 7-3. Big win last week, 80-something to nothing in their 1-8 in their district. Number 2, Blair Oaks, who won 70-0 over our buddy Ross Robertson's California squad,
who's 0 for 10 by the way this year. I've never thought I'd see that.
But. Number 3, Lamar at 9-1. Number 4, Lathrop 10-0. Again, they will be playing Macon, who Brad has at the number 10 spot. That'll be one of the games of the night. So Lathrop 10-0 at 4. Monroe City 9-1 at 5. Lawson, who beat Brookfield last week at 9-1 at 6. Ava, number 1 seed out to the south and west at 9-1. Lexington at 9-1 at 8.
Who is playing Lawson, the number 16 tonight. So one of them will go down.
Clark County, number 9 at 8-2, and Macon, number 10 at 8-2. So those are the mayor of Huntington, Brad Williams' rankings for the week. You know, again, he may do something different, but that's what we're going for. But, you know, as you see, some big games in there. Lathrop, Macon, Clark County, Palmyra, who would be just outside there. Lawson, Lexington. You know, last week, not a lot of great games. This week, there are going to be a lot of good games. So, one of the things we teased is we wanted to do a basketball preview for the Panthers. The Panthers, I believe, in about a week from Monday, I believe, is when, or somewhere around there, is when the jamboree for the girls and boys will be. So let's just do a little bit.
Started practice Monday.
Started practice Monday. You know, obviously the boys are going to have a little bit of a different timetable in the fact that a lot of the guys that are going to play crucial roles for this offense are going to be playing here tonight. But just a preview for the boys should be the CCC conference favorites. You know, the biggest threat would be the Centralia Panthers, who return a lot from a pretty good team last year, who actually got Monroe late. That I think maybe prevented Monroe from getting a shot at the conference title.
And ultimately cost us the 1 or 2 seed in districts. Didn't end up matter. We ran the gauntlet as the 4 seed, but it threw the district rankings last year on the boys' side really into a tailspin because they had no choice but to put Centralia at the 2 or 3.
Right, and you know, one of the things, I'm trying to get a look at Dade here. You know, should be, you know, you don't have the Clark County powerhouse. They lost, you know, their 3 best players. They still have that, the Kirshner kid is a good shooter coming back, but they should be taking a step down. It really should be Monroe,
Palmyra will be
Centralia, and then Palmyra will be kind of that next level. So,
in the CCC on the boys' side, you're never really going to know until about the end of January, the Palmyra tournament maybe, because you're going to have somebody go deep in either Monroe, Clark, or Palmyra in the playoffs. You got South Shelby potentially going to go make a deep run. You've got Macon over there potentially making a run. So a lot of, 3 of our starters are going to be playing here tonight and hopefully for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So it's always a crapshoot on the boys' side for quite a while, I feel, until the dust settles somewhere in January.
So just kind of going through the boys a little bit, obviously led by C.E. Talton, who is the reigning CCC Player of the Year, a guy last year that averaged 25 points, 8 boards, 2.5 assists a game, a block and a steal. I mean, just does everything. Getting some looks for D2 and some junior colleges. Spent a summer playing with the Ramey United team, coached by Courtney Ramey, the 5-star recruit who is going to Louisville,
Texas,
excuse me.
Yeah.
So
his dad, Terrell Ramey, was the coach.
Runs
there.
that whole program
Yeah.
there. So
and it's the who's who of St. Louis basketball players have been playing on that team for years, and just impressive that CE got that opportunity just in its own right. Let alone the kid is. I can't. His cousin Jermaine, maybe Drew Quinn. I
would say he's the best since Jermaine, for sure.
He's just a stud. Or his uncle Jermaine, actually.
Uncle Jermaine, and he is the first. He was an All-State player last year, which I can confirm was the first All-Stater we've had since Jermaine in the mid '90s. So, wow. Very impressive. Again, like I said, All-State. All conference, every all area team he was on it. Special player, and then the remainder of the starting lineup, you got Blake Hayes, who has started for 3 years, I believe now. He's averaging 10 points a game last year, over a steal a game. You have Zach Osborne, averaged 8.5 points, 2.5 assists a game. A guy that plays much bigger than his size.
Yes.
You see him down low a lot. Hustler. And he came around, that jump shot came around a lot.
His 3-point shot last year, if that continues to improve, and Blake's too, they became deadly, especially late. Again, these guys are 3-sport athletes, Blake and Zach and KKO, the next guy we're going to talk about. So it takes them a while to really round into basketball shape. For CE, he's in the gym every morning at least 6:45, if not 6 a.m., It's amazing. He puts up 500 shots in the morning in the off season, plus, and so he's in game shape almost from the get go. The other guys have to work into it. They've been in football, but by the time it's crunch time, they're ready to roll. And Kaylin Kendrick O'Brien is the other one that Michael's going to miss. He's going to probably go into a starting role this year.
You got KKO, who played more of a wing last year, is going to probably have to play more of a 4 or 5 role with this team, just because CE is the other tallish player. Monroe City, the shortest town in America as far as I'm concerned. CE at 6'3" is going to be our tallest guy other than Logan Bulig, and CE runs the point, so KKO at 6'1" or 2" is going to have to get some of the down low, but he's a guy that can step out. And then the other guy that's going to be,
his basketball nickname is Corver.
Yeah, good shot. He will step out, and then you have Bryce Stark as the other starter, a guy that, kind of a part-time starter, super athlete, can jump out of the gym, and a guy that, I think maybe you see him take a little bit of a step. He averaged 5 points a game, 5 points and 4 boards a game. I think he's a guy that has the ability to take another level, take his game up to another level. And especially early in the year, it's going to be a lot on CE, on Bryce, and then on, Dalton McAfee, who's going to be one of the first guys off the bench, a guy that, 3 points, 3 boards, but a guy that has athletic ability, and he is probably the closest thing we have to a pure post player. And then also off the bench, you got Antoine Battle, a guy who's been a part-time starter throughout the year, undersized, but a scrappy,
ferocious.
great defender, great on-ball defender, and a guy that can, he's got a pretty good little mid-range jump shot that he pulls out. And then you have, like I said, Logan Bulick, tall, but again, I've seen him in the morning a couple times. He's got a good shot, and he's got some size that's going to be much needed. And then the other guy that Coach Idris mentioned is Joshua Talton, CE's younger brother. As a freshman, is a guy that's going to get a lot of playing time, and a guy that I think you might see during the year is he's got enough ball skills that there will be times where he can go and take the point and allow CE to be off the ball a little bit more, and gives the offense a little bit of different look. So,
and I will point out that out of those 5 projected starters, a lot can happen, but projected starters, 3 of them on a fast break can throw it down. So not only are we super athletic and going to be fun to watch and are going to get up and down the court, but CE can throw it down, Bryce can throw it down, and KKO can throw it down. So we could see some dunk highlights, which we don't really get to see in Monroe very often because we don't have a lot of dunkers. We're usually all about 5'9", 6 foot tall across the board. These guys can dunk it. Dalton can get up there as well at the bench. Logan. I mean, as far as athleticism is concerned, when we talk about the girls, we're going to be saying the same thing. There's just not a lot of people in Northeast Missouri that athlete for athlete are going to be able to keep up with the Monroe City Panthers or the Lady Panthers for that matter when we talk about the girls here in a minute.
I mean, I'll just say, in my opinion, there will not be a team that will be more athletic than us until we get to the playoffs. And my guess is we're going to run into that same Christian team that we ran into last year, which was a super athletic team, and that's probably going to be a rematch again this year is what I would project. So,
well, and from both the girls and boys side scheduling, our schedule has been ramped up twofold. With the success that we've had recently, both coaches wanted to up the competition up during the preseason. You got the Q&Ds, the Hannibals, bigger schools. Boys are in the QH shootout. The girls are going over to the John Wood shootout and playing kick-up.
Boys are going down to Webster Groves and playing a good Mount Vernon team out of Illinois. So
we are prepping for the big games, which is great to see. We're not shying away from anybody, and that goes for the girls and boys program. So kudos also to Coach Leonard for his scheduling there as our athletic director and making all that happen and giving our kids an opportunity to be showcased on a bigger stage at the Webster Groves, at the Quincy Highs, at the John Wood Community Colleges. It's going to be just an absolute ball to watch these two teams.
Right. So let's go to the girls. Ryan, I kind of talked to Brock. Ryan kind of took care of the girls' side with talking with Cody. Kind of let him run the show here.
So talking to Coach Leonard, our girls' coach. We had 3. We lost the Oak Fuss twins and Maddie. We had Maddie out for most of last year with the torn ACL, which was heartbreaking. One of the greatest moments I've ever had in education was Coach getting her out that one last time for her to just stand out there and be with her teammates. One of the coolest moments ever that I'll always remember. But those are big losses. That there's leadership there. There's tenacity. Dee was just a competitor. M was always the smartest player on the court, day in and day out. And when Maddie was healthy, she could get up and down the court and shoot with the best of them. But with all that being said, we bring back the stud on the girls' side, Jada Summers.
Chris Dewar did a little video today for Dewarisms, and he did his Girls Player of the Year. Jada is going to be the KHUA preseason Girls Player of the Year.
Which, she's a walking double-double. She's 20 and 10, averaged it since she's been a freshman. Listen to this guy. 400 points away from 2,000 points. So conceivably, sometime in January, we're going to see a 2,000-point score on the girls' side. The only other one that I can remember in school history would have been Teresa Jackson.
Duella may have been close.
Duella may have been close.
Duella was more of a 10-10-10, walking triple-double kind of facilitator.
Both those girls go on to play D1. Teresa out at UNLV, and then Jada down in Texas.
And Teresa, if you look at UNLV, some of their records, she's across the board all over the top 10 on a lot of the lists at UNLV. And, she was a special player, something you don't see a lot of Class 2.
So, with Jada, Bring back Hallie Dyer, a super athletic point guard, is going to take over that point guard role from Emily. And watching them this summer, Hallie can get to the rim almost effortlessly. It's very impressive, and she runs the floor as good as any guard that you're going to see as only a sophomore. Also coming back, returning starter Lauren Youngblood had some humongous games there in the districts, and late in the season come up and would have those 6 or 8 just huge points, come up with a big rebound. Is going to be looked upon as one of the leaders, being an upperclassman along with Jada. And then you throw in, you've got Riley Quinn, who's going to jump in and probably fill one of those starting roles, a tall post player, a lot of playing time last year, so looking for her. And then you've got the 2 Bailey Hayeses. So you've got the junior Bailey Hayes, that's going to be Blake's sister, so we'll call her Swanky Bailey.
They call it Red and Brown.
Red Bailey because of the red hair, and Brown Bailey because of the brown hair. So Red Bailey is going to be a spot-up shooter, jump in, another leader.
Good athlete.
Good, can run for days. She runs on the track, the 2 mile, and she would lap me, going away. You've also got Lila Yeager coming in. That's a great shooter. Is not afraid to shoot. We're going to need some girls to step up and make some 3-point shots to clear the lane for Jada. And then Brown Bailey's going to come in. She's going to be your scrapper. She's going to be your defender. She's going to get your rebounds. And then she's going to put up some points.
Yeah, she's a girl that's going to be strong down low, and give, because there are going to be times where you're going to see Jada kind of step out into like a high post. And that's where Riley and Brown Bailey are going to be able to get some buckets down low. And
as far as, our boys and girls are going to be they're both going to get up and down the court. Coach Leonard wants to play faster than anybody else. His South Shelby boys teams did the same thing, and they were so fun to watch. And our girls have been so fun to watch. They get up and down. Our defense really sets the tone for our offense. And, we're going to press. And, he's going to bring a wave of shooters in. Claire Miner's going to jump in there, too, as well. So you've got... He's got some interesting lineups he can go with, and even the potential of maybe Jada coming out to play a little point forward, maybe play Hallie off. He's got all kinds of options.
And I think what
that
you're
he can
going
play with.
I think one thing you might see is, so reliant on those seniors last year that, you might be able to see a little bit deeper lineup this year from the girls, just because they're going to have more people that can fill those roles. So I think that's something you're going to, you might see a little bit bigger rotation, which is going to allow some of the younger girls to be able to go hard, a little bit harder on the press, and may help that defense a little bit.
So the first moment for both the girls and boys teams is the first big moment is obviously the oldest tournament in the state of Missouri, and that's the Monroe City tournament, the first week in December. So that's always a good gauge of just kind of where you're at, how the preseason games have went, I would call them, the first couple games before the Monroe tournament, because there's always that potential that championship Saturday night is going to be Monroe girls versus Palmyra girls, Monroe boys versus Palmyra boys.
And I would say
that's what it's looking like.
That's what it looks like. And the girls this year, you got Jada. You do lose, 3, starters from the beginning, especially from the beginning of the year last year. You're still going to have Clark County. They lose a lot too, but they're going to still be there. You're going to have a Palmyra team that was young last year.
Very.
And they might be the preseason favorite.
Probably Highland.
Oh, Highland has a girl.
Benson and Flanagan.
Yeah. Flanagan is pledged to Western Illinois. Benson, I think, to Columbia College.
Yes.
So.
But very good players. Both of them saw them this summer over at our shootout. They're going to be solid. Palmyra's was young. All that experience comes back. Now they're juniors and seniors. And I would say it's a 3-team race. I think it's Highland, Palmyra, Monroe City for the conference. Districts come out a week from today. So we technically do not know who's in our district yet. More than likely,
can take a pretty good guess.
That is probably going to be our district right there. From the boys' side and the girls' side, you've got the Clark, the Monroe, the Highland, the Palmyra. So, exciting times, folks, to be Panther fans. Looking forward to basketball season. And, as we continue to play more football, we'll continue to preview basketball.
Yeah. So, just kind of ran out of time. Wanted to get the basketball preview in. I won't go through the bracket. You can find it on Misha and some other places. There's a lot of good games. I think the games that we are looking at outside of us, Lathrop-Macon, a game that, Lathrop has been the number 4 team in the state all year long against the Macon team that's played a much tougher range of competition. And I tend to think Macon's got a good shot.
Me too.
Again, I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, but I think they got a shot.
There was at Macon all week. Their coaches rave about Lathrop's speed. I think Macon did a good job of containing our speed. And they also, the toughest part for them to prepare for Lathrop is they said Lathrop runs 3 offenses. They run the wing tee, they run the single wing spinner back, and they run some spread. So that's a tough dynamic. But if Macon can figure that out and get in a groove offensively with Nash Waller, I think they're going to win.
Yep. And then, quickly, Class 1, again, going to the CCC, you got South Shelby against Scotland County. Scotland County, we saw at Jamboree, led by Will Fromm, who's a very good quarterback, one of the better passers in the area. Again, it's kind of that, who you played. South Shelby had to run through the, CCC gauntlet. And I think what we saw when they played us is I think they kind of started figuring things out. You have their starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, right before practice quits, to, a kid that's going to be a great golfer, going to get a scholarship, and they had to figure out. And I think once they got figured out, they played a lot better ball, beat Brookfield late in the year, and looked good. And I think they got a shot to beat Scotland County.
Yeah, I agree with Michael. I think South's going to win. I do. I just don't think that they can contain Wood's speed. Now, there may be a team down the road in Class 1 that can. I just don't think Scotland County's that team.
And then the other game, again, there's a lot of games we could mention. The basketball kind of took us where we wanted to go. But Clark County, Palmyra is the game that is the number 1 game we are looking for this week. Me and Ryan probably disagree. I think Clark County is going to win. Certainly if Porter Limbauer doesn't
with an asterisk from me.
Right. So if Porter Limbauer doesn't play, I think it's a no-brainer.
All bets are off, yeah.
But if Limbauer plays, I still think Clark County's got just a little bit too many weapons, and I think they win that game. Now, I will say that 30-8 score that was earlier in the year, you have 2 asterisks for that score I see. One is you have Porter Limbauer, who is at that time just jumping into that quarterback role. And 2, that was a much closer than 30-8 game. There's a couple fluky turnovers, and if you look at total yards, it was within about 40 yards. I mean, it's a game that, a lot of. If you just looked at the straight stats, you'd say, oh, that's a 7-point game, not a 30-8 game.
Yeah, Michael and I do. He thinks Clark's going to win no matter what. I think if Limbauer's healthy, now remember, guys, that's their backup quarterback who came into his own really against us a couple weeks ago and has playing with some serious confidence. If he's healthy, Palmyra wins. If he is not, and Palmyra's down to their 3rd-string quarterback, that's a tough task. I think Clark County wins. Regardless of who wins that game, Monroe City takes care of business tonight. We host next week, 7 o'clock, district championship. The place at Langford Field will be packed. The stand should be packed. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. But first, let's take care of business tonight. We'll be on the air here in about 9 minutes.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us on Facebook Live. Again, we'll be on 107.5 The Lake and then the 107.5 The Lake on the TuneIn radio app. Look for 107.5 The Lake to watch us or to listen to us there. Again, thank you, CWs, for sponsoring. And have a good night. We'll catch you later.
Hopefully see you on the broadcast. Hear you. See you.